Good afternoon. It's Arlo Johnson from Vernon, British Columbia, checking in on August the 31st. And we're into fall, and I guess that's the end of summer pretty soon. It's still pretty nice, pretty warm. Had some rain, we've got a few fires again, but that's pretty well over. So what I was going to talk about today, and I'm going to just get at it right now, is welcome to the podcast. I'm sort of amazed that I'm doing this. Now, things work kind of strangely, I guess, but just think, all but the history to now, people have used the written word and basically books from last hundreds of years, quite a few hundred years, maybe thousands. And now I can foresee that the book business is going to drop right off, because, and here's the strange part, is because with a book, people, they just use their eyes. That's it. They read it with their two eyes. With a podcast, they read it and they hear it with their two ears. So the podcast is twice as penetrating a vehicle for ideas than the written word is. Now, I never even heard about podcasts a couple of years ago. But anyway, now I can see it's, I don't know how many there is. There's most likely millions by now. I mean, YouTube, I go on YouTube here and, I don't know how many videos they have, and they're basically videos. Now, an actual podcast is not eyes and ears, it's just the ears. And that is so that people can just do other things while they listen. They don't have to stop and read something, all their attention. No, they can drive a car, they can walk around, walk down the street, walk down the road, listen to a podcast. They can lay in bed and listen to a podcast. That's how changes go. Sometimes they slip into society and into your own life without you knowing it. You don't realize it right away that something has changed. Now that's the way the world works. It's hard to enunciate to you how much change that has been in my life. And I suppose it's because in a lot of cases people are not all that observant about what is around them and how much has changed. They just think everything's the same as it's always been, and it's far from that. So that's one of them. That's one of the big indicators of the progression of redundancy, I guess you could say. Things get put away. They just don't exist anymore. There's all kinds of things I was doing when I was 16, 17 years old that nobody does now. And, that's the big thing here is change. And, the big changes in the world are the ones that come when you're sleeping, I guess. And that means when you aren't paying attention. All of a sudden it's there and you don't, say, oh, what's this big, good heavens, what happened? What happened was we weren't watching and we weren't listening and we weren't paying attention. Usually everything has its announcements. Things announce themselves as they come along. One of the podcasts I had on here just recently was the fact that anybody who reads Revelation, the book of Revelation, knows that in chapter or verse 20, that it talks about the city of God that is going to descend on this planet. That's all it says. It's going to descend on this planet. And nobody stopped, well, I shouldn't say nobody, obviously somebody did, stopped and thought about the size of this city, huge city, and how it was going to fit on this planet. And it turns out it doesn't fit on this planet. It's too big for it. Now that to me was a real eye-opener. It doesn't fit on this planet, and yet it's coming here. And God really didn't give any hints to that, except to say that I create a new heaven and a new earth. And the heavens and earth are gone. This heavens and earth that we see and are living in. That's a pretty big thing. Here we're living in this planet, and God says, well, you're here for now. Once your cycle is done, this planet Earth and the heavens, when he says heavens, obviously all the moon and stars and everything else is going to be gone. Now, God is in charge of the universe. The universe is his. He belongs to him. He does what he pleases with it. It's a good thing. It is really a good thing that he decided to let you and I be created and have a glimpse into his power and his magnificence. And, to say that if you follow my commandments and do my things, you can come along with me and you can be my son and you can be where I am forever. Well, things like that go right over here, because it's just hard to understand how that is going to work. But I can guarantee you that of all the things that you see and hear on this planet in your lifetime, what God says is permanent. Everything else is not. Everything. Only what he says and what Jesus says you can bank on. That is permanent. And that's why it's comforting to know as a human being, we live on this planet for a certain number of years, some of us a few years longer than others, and then we disintegrate into a wet spot on the road. Well, a little more than that, but he's laid out a plan for that, and it's all in the book. Yeah, 32,000, I think it's 32,000 verses in this book. That's a big book. There's no book like it. I wish I didn't have such a problem reading it. It's I can only read it for a couple of minutes and then my eyes kind of go on me, and well, anyway, I like doing it on the internet, on the screen, and on a you know, a fairly good sized monitor. And I do like reading the book, the Bible, or like say for instance, having it read to me where I can see it and read it. That to me is the best. That wasn't available to people, you know, not that many years ago. Wasn't available. Now it is. So here is the podcast, or this is a video. This is not a podcast. I'll convert it to a podcast on another venue. But being able to project thoughts, ideas, and being visual, basically to the whole world. And that's, right now it isn't costing me that much. I'm going to hire somebody on Saturday. They claim they're going to promote and do this and do that. And I think they're, I don't know, I think they're in Bangladesh. I believe so. And they are savvy enough on the internet to be able to promote and do this. So I'm going to try one guy in a small way. I'm going to try with him to see how good he is or what he does. I've got others that are asking, you know, for this. We will do this, we will do that, you know, for this much. Well, anyway, it may end up that I try a couple of them. I wouldn't mind, you know, to be able to build up podcasts or something like that, big enough to monetize it. You know, at 90 years old, I started doing stuff like this. I wouldn't have believed that here a while ago. You know, how the dickens can you do that when you're just about 90 years old? Well, age has nothing to do with it right there. It's just you have to have the ability to use the internet and do stuff like that. I live in a place here where 99% of the people in here don't and can't do this. They can't, they don't know how to turn on a TV. Well, they turn a TV on, they have a little TV in their room. No, I'm pretty blessed that way. And I hope that the things that I do talk about, I hope that people do pay a little attention to it, because a lot of times, you know, it doesn't take much, but it does take something to move people to think a certain way or see something a certain way and realize how immensely important this is to them. And they may not know it. They may not realize how immensely important this is to them. And it's been like that for a long time. I don't consider myself a preacher or anything. I remember they told me when I was about 3 or 4 years old, I used to tell them I was going to be a preacher someday. Well, not a preacher. I'm not even a speaker. I'm just a fellow that's got your ear for a second. That's it. Just talking about things a bit. You know, I'm not saying that I know everything, that's for sure. I don't. I don't believe anybody else does either, by the way. And the things that I've learned, you know, in 90 years, it takes a little while to get there, is the simplest things like, for instance, humility is so important in God's eyes that it's so important that people don't grasp it at all. And humility, you know, usually begs the fact that they need forgiveness because they're not perfect. They're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. And humility is, well, it is a sense of awe that you exist in a world like this with a creator who watches everything and everybody at all times and has allowed you to do certain things. See, I believe that the ability to call on God, to petition God, and is only happened after God gave his life up. The moment he died, that became a fact, that there was no partition between the human race and God Almighty, so long as they went through Jesus Christ, used him as the under the auspices of Jesus Christ, they could talk to him. That's the deal. Now, I think prayer, or they say pray to God. Well, that's basically petitioning God, bringing your thoughts and your ideas and your sorrows and sometimes you're supposed to thank God for all things, not just when everything goes hunky-dory. That's a little hard. Things aren't going well. You're supposed to thank God anyway. But anyway, I believe that God hears. I believe when I pray, I believe that he hears me. That is, I never really did that before, but I do now because things have happened where I have prayed for things and they've happened right in front of me. Not big things, small things. I believe God delights in doing small things for people who are humble and who ask for help. Well, anyway, no big pronouncements or anything like that tonight. I just wanted to say that we live in an age now where people, instead of using just two eyes to communicate things, they now use four. And that's the result of modern technology. And people, I didn't think about that until it was shoved right in my face. I saw that was the case. That's why these things are so prevalent and so popular. And people still write books, a lot of them, but I think that's going to be a change. I'm not going to really predict it, but I'm going to say it certainly is not going to surprise me if I see a downtrend in books and publishing and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, that's good enough for me for tonight, and if you'd like to subscribe, I'd appreciate that very much. I mean, I always wait till the last to ask people to subscribe, and everybody's gone by now. But anyway, I suppose I should ask earlier. Anyway, till I see you again, God bless you, and good night.